China is laughing at us, folks, and it is because they are prepared and we are not. Now, we have a number of countries kind of ganging up on the price of oil out there. We got Saudi Arabia, we got the Russians, we got Iran, we got these other countries that are trying to drive the price of oil up. And as this is happening, it's hard to not notice that the Chinese oil stocks are at record highs and the U.S. oil stocks are at record lows. Is this on purpose? It's hard not to see it that way. Let's jump into it. Welcome to the Poplar Report. I'm Steve Poplar. I'm an accountant, and so I dig into the numbers. I'm one of those people that actually reads these Department of Energy reports that come out on how much oil the United States has, and we don't want to waste your time, so let's jump right into it. So the U.S. government just last week recorded that the Cushing Oil Stock, so basically in Cushing, Oklahoma, they have a tank farm, and this is one of the places where we store a whole bunch of oil, but they lost last week 2.5 million barrels of oil. Overall, the United States lost 5.2 million barrels of oil. Cushing is one of the industry standards and is one of the major points that they always kind of watch at because it's along the pipelines and it feeds into a lot of the refineries and to the exports and everything like that. Well, that's problematic because Cushing is now down to 25 million barrels of oil in their reserves. And that's where we start talking about bottom of the barrel, or bottom of the tanks, tank bottoms. That's industry kind of talking about. It's the effective minimum that the oil tanks in Cushing can have without it starting to impact the refinery output. So if we drop below that anymore, we're going to start talking about it starting to disrupt the refining process for diesel and gasoline inside the United States. That's really problematic. Just for perspective, the Cushing, they're not government run, right? This is private tanks. This is how much all the refineries and all the oil giants have in their tanks feeding into the refineries. Full tanks are 80 million barrels, and we're at 25 million barrels. That's not good. And it's not just there. It's across the entire United States. Private stocks of oil are at pretty near all-time lows. And more importantly, the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve is at 40-year lows. The U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve was sold off in order to buy off an election, and we're now sitting with empty tanks, and China has their tanks fully topped up. They're at 1.14 billion barrels of oil. They've never been that high. They're just building new tanks and filling them up with oil. Or at least they have been. But now we're seeing that the demand from China is starting to drop off because they don't want to pay top dollar. They don't want to buy oil when it's expensive. They're just leaving the United States to buy oil when it's expensive. This is all but proof that all that money that went to the king's son did China well, because the United States has been stripped of its defensive strategic oil reserves, while at the same time everyone else in the world knew that they needed to get stocked up, and the United States was selling and unloading all of its oil just when it should have been holding on to it. So what's this mean for you and me? What this means for you and me is that as the price of oil pops through $100 per barrel, I sure liked it when it was back down at $40 a barrel, but $100 a barrel, it means gas prices and diesel prices are going to go up, and it means that if we have any other hiccups in the oil pipeline, we're going to start seeing refineries losing capability. They're going to stop producing quite as much oil, putting through quite so much oil to get diesel and gasoline. That could mean that we're going to have shortages. So, friends, if you need to top up your tanks of gasoline, we're going into the fall. Most of us don't need as much for our gas mowers and everything like that. If you're already switched over to battery electric mowers, well, good for you for saving the planet and everything like that. But for the rest of us, we may be not ready to cycle that gasoline, but get that old gasoline into your cars, as long as it's not too old, right? Mix it in and get those portable tanks refilled, or however you have it set up. But cycle your gasoline, cycle your fuels, and get a little more stocked up, because we could be seeing some more issues going forward. If we have another hurricane that comes in and hits the refineries, that will cause problems. We do have a fair number of refineries offline right now. We're seeing drops in inventories on gasoline, not at dangerous levels just yet, but if we have a few more refineries, we have a few offline right now, and we've had an unusually large number of refineries offline for the last number of weeks. If we have more of that go forward, we are going to start having some dangerous levels of fuel stocks. That will mean certain areas are going to start having spotty outages here and there. I'm not making stuff up. I'm not trying to get you all ginned up. I'm just sharing with you the numbers that people out there are seeing, which is why oil prices keep going up. Saudi Arabia, Russia, and a lot of these other OPEC countries have agreed to cut production in order to drive the price higher, and that's where we are with that. Azerbaijan, who is a member of OPEC, the oil cartel, Azerbaijan just launched an offensive going into some arguably Armenian areas, or arguably Azerbaijani areas that they're policing. Whatever you want to talk about, these predominantly Armenian populated areas are going to are having Azerbaijani troops and tanks moving in to do police action and anti-terrorism stuff. So that has also started to drive price of oil a little bit higher as well. Expect higher oil prices, at least in the middle term, and that means gas prices are still going to go up for a fair bit more before they top off. Will they go higher after that? Well, we'll need another disruption or something like that for them to go higher. Otherwise, they'll hang around there or maybe drop back just a little bit. But expect oil prices to be hanging around $100 a barrel, which means basically just whatever your gas price is plus a little bit, plus another 5-10 cents. That should be right about $100 a barrel. And with all the taxes that go into it, it's hard to tell you exactly what your gasoline will be or what your diesel will be. But just think about that. It's probably going to hang around here for a while, so might as well get stocked up a little bit, because things could go a lot higher. Things really aren't going to come down for the foreseeable future. Saudi Arabia is not going to end its cuts. Russia's not going to end its cuts. These other places are holding fast there. Demand is holding up pretty steady. So oil is going to stay around this price, or maybe just go up from here. We'll see. All right, folks, thanks so much for watching. If you want to check out another video from this channel, there's one right up here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you later. Steve Poplar of the Poplar Report, out.